Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, Manny. You know what I just realized I've been missing? What's up, beautiful world? It's your boy, Manny, and this is Interviews, and I'm with my man, David Webb of Hamilton Computer Repairs here in Worcester, Massachusetts. Look him up. You're everywhere, right? Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram. We just reactivated the Hamilton Computer Repairs Instagram page. I've not touched that for about 8 years, but we're about to start using it. You can also friend me on Facebook. If I don't recognize you, I might not, but if we have 30 mutual friends because you live in Worcester and that's how it is, then I'll accept it.
It's such a small town, big city. It's a big city with small town vibes.
It really, really is.
And they're so nosy. Everybody's so nosy. But hey, that's what you get in a small town. We all know each other's business. But no, seriously, go check out his social media if you have any computer, right?
Yeah, we work
on
Macs
any
and
electronics?
Windows. Not any electronics. So we specifically do computers. I stay away from phones. I recommend New England Wireless on West Boylston Street in Worcester for phone repairs. Also 911 iPhone repair in Auburn. Both places are great. They keep inventory.
Dope cross promotion.
It's the reason we don't actually do phones is because you have to stay up to date on all of them. You know, most computers, you know, it might be a slightly different variant, but when we're opening it up, it's gotten worse in the past few years. But for the most part, the components are still the same. Yeah. On phones, it's like a motherboard, a camera, a screen, and a chassis. And anything dies, it's your motherboard. And also, everyone wants their phone back immediately. Mm-hmm. And I don't have the patience for that crap.
Well, yeah. I mean, going a day without your phone is like, it's hard. So I can imagine weeks, without your phone. That could be hard.
Our options are either maintaining inventory for every part that we might have a customer walk in the phone in the door with, which means like every variation of Samsung, from the last 3 years in each color. Yeah. Or, ordering it when they bring it in which case anyone's like, what do you mean it's going to be 3 days for you to get my Samsung screen? Mm-hmm. I call it the kiosk factor because even though, they're still thinking about cell phones, people walk in expecting to be able to walk out 2 hours later with a replaced screen on their computer. Right. We explain to people there's, in auto business, they have CAP, they have advanced auto parts or whatever. They can just call down the street and have a fender delivered. Right. We're dealing with warehouses across the country, sometimes out of the country. And we explain that to everyone. We have a great schematic that gives time frames, but we still have to get past the what did I call it? The mall kiosk fact.
And I mean, a lot of the time, too, these companies aren't making it easy for you to even attain some of the parts or the knowledge.
So opening things up, we've got pretty solid because those limitations are mostly like on things like Surfaces, they're not designed to be opened. You have to take off the screen and then, you can't exactly put it back on. So if someone comes in with a cracked screen on a Surface, we could take it out and then carefully glue it back in. But the fact of the matter is then that replacement part costs about half the actual machine. Mm-hmm. So most machines, we can open them, no problem. But then getting the replacement parts is difficult because manufacturers are contractually obligating the not the manufacturers, the brand manufacturers like Dell. Let's use Apple as an example because I love hating on Apple and they're the main problem.
And they got enough money to take it.
Yeah. So Apple is a good example because, often, let's say, you've probably seen a friend who has an Apple MacBook that the only thing is wrong is the screen is dim. Yeah. It's not that there's nothing on the screen, but there's something,
Or have you ever seen that line that goes through the screen?
Well, so that's probably
annoying.
That's probably an impact thing. Like that's probably something hit the screen somewhere. Right. And that's
like a penny too.
Right. Oh, literally a grain of rice. We've seen it.
It could be anything, yeah.
No. We've literally had a
you've
customer
actually literally seen it.
Literally comes in and they're like, I had a grain of rice on my palm rest. They close their MacBook Pro, big rainbow. It's kind of silly how fragile these things are. Also, while we're on the topic of how fragile they are, cosmetics. Apple has there is no way they don't have engineers saying we need something that looks pretty and is easily scuffed up. Yeah, because they know their customers are going to get rid of it the moment it looks used, and so they use metals that. Yeah,
and that brings us to the great customer retention.
Oh, customer retention,
and all of this is that it's all about the bottom line, which is that mighty green dollar. And they don't want to sell us something that they can only get one sale out of. They got to figure out how to get that money
So
perpetuating, right?
my business model is break fix. And what that means is people break something, we fix it.
Yeah.
Most companies, it does. So a lot of companies that start out as break fix often transition into MSPs, managed service providers, effectively IT companies for hire. Like a office firm who doesn't want to have IT companies in-house outsources to them.
Yeah.
The reason this is important is because the reason all companies switch towards that model is because, as break fix, if I do my job well, we see a customer once every 3 years. That's not really great reoccurring revenue. So the only way we stay in business is by doing this for a lot of people. Most people want more consistent revenue. So what they aim for is what's called reoccurring monthly revenue, RMR. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because Apple, as a hardware manufacturer, is in a RMR business model now with their subscriptions based for Apple Care, their subscriptions for drive storage, and their customers are not going anywhere at this point. They've got customers for life who are just, when their device dies, they're going to buy another Apple product.
Right.
So now what they've effectively done is made it so that, their customers are replacing their devices every 1 to 3 years because they're already paying for protection plans. They're already paying for this. They're already, and, I don't know if you've ever tried to get away from Android. It's not that difficult, but you have to set everything up. Imagine how difficult it is to leave Apple, and ask anyone who's ever tried.
I tell you, I don't want to leave Android for the simple fact that it's cheaper. First and foremost, I mean, they're starting to compete though with that price though.
Well, so one of the reasons
because my Galaxy was like $850 when I bought it, and I was like, bro, I mean, it's a little steep. But then my son, of course, the kids always get the better stuff. He got the iPhone, and that was like $1,300. It was pretty much. He got the new one.
Well, so the way they tend to do it is with different tiered options. So they control the market because, they have like $800 iPhones. They're not great, but they're new $800 iPhones.
Right.
And now that's what people are thinking about.
Yeah, but I don't want the $800 iPhone when I'm looking at everybody else with the iPhone 14 out there. And I'm like, I want that. I want the best,
So that's another one of their perceived value things. They gave you tiers and they make the nicer ones look nicer.
Yeah.
So they another one of those things we should talk about when we're in the contrast here, green texts. You know how people can rant about that?
Yeah, I get picked on all the time. Okay, green boy. Yeah, I get it.
But they specifically psychologically made people no one wants to be a green text person if you're currently a blue text person.
As long as the text gets through, who cares what color the bubble is?
You say it doesn't matter, but it does to a lot of people. Like this is.
Do you think that's like a?
There are people who won't date people because they end up texting back in green.
I don't know if I want to date someone who's that shallow.
I agree, but Apple knows this and it's capitalizing on it.
You don't even care how I look. You care what my bubble looks like? What?
Well, I mean,
that's wild.
Maybe they associate Android with people who are being cheap. They're like, Apple has branded themselves as the premium, nicer, smart product.
Well, then I don't wanna gold digging. I don't need no Apple lady anyway.
I think it's worth noting though the brand is the identity with it. Their most successful ad campaign was the no products. It was just a bunch of people dancing with hip music. They're selling an image, a lifestyle, you're part of this thing. I think it was with the AirPods. It was just that, and it was like they made themselves iconic. So people aren't paying them. Apple used to be you would buy it because it lasted a long time.
Yeah.
And then Steve Jobs died, and they became innovative with capitalism instead.
Yeah, another word for greedy. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs did it.
Well, no. I actually genuinely mean they were innovative with capitalism. I mean, they started giving school children laptops so that they would start out like this was. I mean, they were deliberate.
Did they really though? Or
yes.
Or is this conditioning? Is this grooming?
Yes. Either way. No, I mean that's the thing. That's for capitalism. That's a relatively new. Like they were, like it's difficult to leave an ecosystem once you're set up into it.
Yeah.
So they are actively getting people hooked, for lack of a better phrase, really early. Because once you're familiar with it, you're not going to want to go out of it.
Right. And not only that, when you're giving school kids things, people are more likely to want to come support you in your business.
Oh, well,
because
it's also
see
a huge
philanthropy.
tax deduction on their end. That's the side no one ever talks about. All of these good Samaritan acts that really end up being for the tax dollars, the tax benefits.
They're mainly for the betterment of the business than they are for the philanthropy of it, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know. There's do you know anyone who works for New York Life?
I do.
Okay, so
I want to know where you're going with this because
well, I mean, it's a pyramid scheme, but
okay, that's where my mind was at.
But not actually. It's really
it's kind of schemy.
It's more of a franchise in the aspect of like there. But it's totally preying on people who want to then prey on their friends.
Right.
And step one, target all your people on social media, become a nuisance.
Right.
Anyways, where I'm going with this, the reason
remind people that they're probably gonna die.
Yeah,
our business makes money off your death.
Yeah, but anyways, where was I going with New York Life? This was relevant. Keeping everything together. What did I just say right before that? New York Life, insurance scams.
Yeah, I got lost too.
Sorry, this was too many
that's
tangents.
My job, everybody. It's to keep us on track.
Lost my drone of thought. Anyways, it's a big scam.
Yeah.
And it's there was definitely a relevant thing
Well,
here.
we were talking about, the capitalism of it all and the philanthropy and
philanthropy.
How, yeah.
One of the things. So that's so any active, and you'll see this a lot in realtors. They will donate a ton as part of their practice. And the reason, and it's never actually, it's always big, showy, get a lot of people involved, and then donate things. And sometimes they're actually helping, but it's always backpack drive level things where it's more about the community act. I guess what I'm trying to say is always question it when you see the companies donating shit.
Yeah.
It's a lot of it is they need an image of we give back to our community, so they do.
Right.
But it's really
tugs on our heartstrings. Makes us want to be more involved with their business.
But when you see
them giving back to our community,
yes, exactly. But when you see financing people do it and realtors know that it is being accounted for as an adjustment on a different line. Like, yes, they are giving away this money, but this money is compensating for how much money they made elsewhere.
Right.
Like, this is all part of the plan. And like the obnoxious part is this is what they're telling all their customers to do. Mm-hmm. And then they're doing it themselves, but they're not honest with anyone about it. They're like, yeah, we're doing good. Come help our community. Anyways, that's what, really Apple doesn't have to be the bad guy here. There are so a company that's doing things right when it comes to right to repair is Framework. They're creating devices that are designed to be upgraded by customers. They're not perfect because you still really can only buy parts from them. In an ideal perfect world, this would all be modular. But we're not going for an ideal perfect world. We're going for a world where we're not trapped in replacing devices, right. Where things aren't going to a landfill because of corporate greed.
But I mean, I still feel trapped because I don't know Framework, right? Mm-hmm. I'm comfortable and confident with iPhone or Samsung to know that I'm getting the best of the best. And if anything happens, I can get it easily repaired, easily replaced. I mean, at least that's what we're led to believe.
But then you try to actually use that replacement plan. Mm-hmm. And there's any excuse they can use to not honor it. They do. Right. Like you mentioned, what was it, DC Jack earlier?
Yeah.
Like all of these contracts have,
even the screen. It depends on how you dropped it. Like, did you throw it? We can't fix that. You know what I mean?
Right. And they never disclose the extent of any of these when they're always like, "Do you want a protection plan in case anything happens?" Oh, sorry, that's not covered by anything.
Water damage isn't covered, and that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
You could drop your phone in a puddle really easily, or in the toilet.
No, but the fact that you get these, I haven't, but I've heard about it from so many different people.
I've had it happen.
I've actually dropped my phone. Well, I've dropped my phone so many times. I've cracked one phone somehow. It was my Nexus 5 7 years ago, and it was like off a bedside table. It was like the smallest drop. It was so upsetting. Yeah. I've dropped so many phones so much higher than that.
Yeah. But yeah, you could chuck a phone across the room, nothing happens.
Sometimes. iPhone screens are not like that was part of what I actually gave Apple a try again a few years ago. The reason I left them was all of the limitations and 5 minutes. Okay. All of the limitations. So I gave them a chance again because they let people choose their own keyboard. They let people choose their default web browser. They let people choose a fuck ton of things that up until like that month they hadn't. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'll give you guys a chance. Also, the iPhone 13 mini was the smallest smartphone readily available. I've switched literally to a Motorola Razr because it fits in my pocket. But anyways, the iPhone mini was small enough. I left because it started slowing down after a year. The phone was still glitchy. All of the problems that like are supposed to be resolved by being in, Apple's protective walled garden of peace of mind weren't actually there. Things used to, like, I remember 4 years ago, Instagram didn't work on Android, and it did on iPhone. And it was one of the reasons I was like, okay, fine, fuck it, I'll switch. DJI, my drone apps, weren't working on Android. They would on iPhone. And I'm like, you know what, fine. I will give up with being treated like a second, clear tier user because I'm on Android. Mm-hmm. Like, companies would actually prioritize their iPhone apps over Android apps because that's where the users with money is.
Yeah. So what do you think about Samsung catching up with the game?
Right, cool. Okay.
They are catching up.
When you say catching up to
I mean,
what?
I got Instagram now.
Oh, yeah. So companies have started being better, but that reminds me about my Samsung rant and why fuck Samsung.
Yeah, okay.
So originally they had TouchWiz. No, I mean, as a company, their products are also gimmicky as fuck, and they release a new one every year, which they could release one really fucking good device every 3 years.
Yeah.
They don't because why the hell would they?
Right.
No companies would, but I guess instead they release like 20 variations of mediocre devices with like 3 premium ones every year. Anyways, they originally locked people into TouchWiz, which was their remember when Android was different depending on what brand phone you got? Like now they're all mostly the same.
Yeah.
Remember how Samsung's was wildly different?
Yeah.
Remember how it had its own messaging app, mail app, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bullshit that Apple pulls. They try to lock you into their things so that if you switch to another texting app, you don't have all of your shit.
And truthfully, I won't go to a lesser tier phone because I'm so spoiled with the features on the phone I have.
So how many of those features are things you actually need?
I don't use any of them on a regular basis.
Right,
to be
but they're
honest
gimmicks
with you.
that you love.
But I have them. Oh, the parts that I love.
Yeah. So like, what features? I guess what
my camera mainly.
Mm-hmm.
And can we talk about that real quick
Sure.
too? I don't know if this is right to repair.
Let's go ahead. Cameras,
bro. I feel like Samsung got the market on lock with the camera. I'm not a big iPhone camera fan.
So iPhone, what iPhone did well early was autofocus. iPhone had a camera
I don't have good autofocus.
Yeah, Samsung hasn't. So
like whenever I'm doing video, it's like wah wah. It's I'm I'm saying that pulling it out. Yeah.
So Samsung has powerful cameras. They throw together powerful hardware with high end specs because they know that at this day and age, people are looking at the actual numbers. I don't care how little or how much you know about cameras. When you're looking at a phone these days, you are looking at resolution and megapixels and how many fucking cameras it has because that is what everyone is contrasting.
Okay.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, they have caught up and started putting in better cameras, but they're still and their hardware is good. Their devices are still designed to be pretty rather than durable, rather than reliable. Which is the Apple bullshit. Like, it's aesthetics over function. They also, like I said, tried to lock people into, like, there was an agreement with Google and Samsung like 6 or 7 years ago that stopped this. But they were trying to lock people into their own ecosystem of apps, that's what I was talking about when I said they're the Apple of Android. And it's bullshit. But also, their devices are so fragile. Like, you've had good luck with that thing, but I'm pretty sure it's got to be thanks to that OtterBox.
Yeah, probably. Shout out to OtterBox. And whatever I do have a screen protector film.
That makes
I don't know
a difference.
If it's glass or what. You know what my favorite screen protector was? And I can't find it anywhere. Maybe you can help me. There was like a gel protect.
Oh, Skinomi or whatever.
Bro.
I had it on Amazon a while ago.
I had my phone for like 5 years.
So I haven't actually used screen protectors in the past few years.
Yeah?
Gorilla Glass.
Are those a gimmick too?
What, screen
You're gonna
protectors?
Tell me, yeah.
Not really. I mean, yes, if you like, so the kiosks at the mall are, but like that being said, are you able to put it on without bubbles? Because if not, it is worth whatever you're paying someone to put it on.
I mean, I'm pretty good at putting it on without the bubbles
because
I have OCD. So
then you're good. I've never put one of those things on straight in my life. It's half the reason I buy secondhand phones, which is something else for a whole other episode. But the secondhand market. You can buy. I've resold so many different things, and it is so great. But these companies also do their part to control that by creating eBay stores. Yeah. So they can. So like DJI, a drone.
Also, you have these companies also controlling or monopolizing.
So this is really behavior-wise
hand store too.
Yeah, this is more like predatory loans than like antitrust things.
I don't know about y'all over there, the app boys, Samsung. I got a problem with y'all. I'm about to come pick a bone with y'all. That's wild.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
I feel so skeevy, like, ugh.
And no one thinks about this.
Well, we got a lot more for you to make me feel even more skeevy, right? But right now, we got to take a quick break. You're watching Interviews. I'm Manny.
And I'm David Webb. This was great.
We will be right back.